Hey, everybody. We made it.
That's right.
It's unbelievable.
Only 17 minutes
Past 8.
late. Past 8. That's right. Not late, just past 8.
Yeah,
That's
we show up on time.
We're a wizard.
Y'all are early.
That's that's your problem. Not ours. You wasted your own time. I don't know why you showed up 17 minutes early
Because they
to a
get
show
to
that we
hang
told you
out.
to be at 8.
They get to hang out with these cool people in the chat, man.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
hmm
It's all
Not a
good.
waste of time at all.
No, it's fun. Hey, welcome. It's Don't Worry Wednesday. This is what we do on Wednesday. It's awesome.
This is what we do on Wednesday. I like it a lot.
It is. This is like my favorite part of Wednesday. It's one of my favorite parts of the whole week, really. And I was really, really
Yes.
bummed that I wasn't here last week. How was last week? Did you guys have fun?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I hope Katie enjoyed it too. I know she did. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, she did a great job. It was
Mm-hmm.
fun and a successful show.
That's awesome.
And Princess was able to make the whole thing because of her flight being put on delay over and over. So
Oh wow.
yeah, she
Wow.
didn't get to read unfortunately, but she was here for the whole thing, so it was really helpful.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I
hmm
wasn't here for any of it. I missed the whole thing, and I didn't even have a chance to watch it. I was
Oh,
bummed.
that's all right.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and watch it. It's always fun to see. I really enjoy when Katie's on because she has a female perspective.
hmm
It's so great.
Yeah. hmm
But this is Don't Worry Wednesday. Those of you who are new or have not been here in a while, this is the show where we talk about you guys. We talk about your stuff, whatever might be going on in your life. You can feel free to post it in the chat. You can put it on our website, bss.studio. You can send us an email, dww@bss.studio. You can private message myself, Joe Anderson, Static P, or Princess on
hmm
Discord. All the links and names and all that stuff are in the chat. You might just have to scroll up a little bit to see that. But Princess has posted those for you. And we are not professional therapists or counselors or a substitute for anything like that. We just want to be your friend. We want to help in any way we can, offer some love and encouragement and perspective. And just, man, I know for a fact, being in a position where I do see a therapist, that having friends around me while I am going through the stuff where I need therapy for is very, very helpful. And we want to do that for you guys. We want to be that. And it's great because, you know, a lot of times I've listened to shows where, where they take phone calls or topics from email or whatever, right? And I always learn so much from other people's questions. I don't know. Have you
Yep.
ever noticed that, Ryan?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's funny because you listen to one of those shows and you're like, I never even thought to ask that. And you listen, you're like, wow, I just learned so much about
Mm-hmm.
a ton of stuff I didn't even know I needed to know.
Yep. Yep. I love shows like that. Whether
hmm
it's religion related or money related or whatever. I've listened to all kinds of different
Yeah.
podcasts and radio shows that are like that, and I love it because just like you said, they ask a question that I would never have thought to have asked, but I'm really glad that they answered it.
hmm
The question that I didn't ask.
Yeah.
Because it was very, very useful. So yeah. So anyway, welcome. Welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday. And we're glad you're here. You guys in the chat, you are the star. I'm your host, and above me is Static P.
Yo.
Princess is our chat room hostess, and she's also our topic person, and she is actually with us on audio tonight. Princess, how are you?
I'm doing wonderfully. Thanks for asking.
You're welcome. Thanks for
And
being here.
hello, chat.
Yes. You guys are awesome.
Hey.
You guys are amazing. So, what do you say we get started?
Let's do it.
I think that's a great idea. So, I'm gonna go through. Whoa, that's bright. I turn that down. Whoa, better. All right, man. I know, right?
This is crazy. I was died.
Everybody was gonna see what I actually look like.
Yeah, well, it
We
was
can't have
blinding.
that. Holy
Yeah.
smokes!
Is
All
your
right.
real self like just pure shiny whiteness and then
N-
it just like you blind people? Are you that holy? Jeez, what the heck, man. Wow. I have a
Something.
long way to go.
I don't know. I
And
don't
I've got
know.
my gamma up higher than yours, and I'm still not that shiny and bright. So, oh well.
Well, gamma is green.
No, gamma is just brightness.
Is it really?
You're okay. You're thinking of the other gamma.
The
No,
other
I'm just talking
gamma?
about.
What about the other
Yeah,
gamma?
I'm talking about the other gamma.
The other? That's just
Mm-hmm.
brightness?
Yeah.
I thought, yeah, see.
Mm.
I mean, it's the Hulk. Gamma radiation made the Hulk, and he's green, right?
Right. Right.
And I remember there was a video game for the Matrix. You remember the Matrix movies?
Do you remember gamma? Do you remember Gamma Lantern?
Was that green?
I'm just kidding. It's Green Lantern.
Green Lantern.
He's the Green Lantern, not the Gamma Lantern. I
Oh,
like Gamma Lantern though.
Gamma Lantern.
Yeah, but it sounds a little bit like Grandma.
It's. I was just gonna say that. It's like Gamma
Well,
Lantern.
you know, Grandma Gamma Lantern.
Grandma
Wow,
Gamma Lantern.
Grandma Gamma Lantern. From Night Shyamalan. M. Night
my
Shyamalan.
gosh.
Grandma Gamma Lantern.
Oh,
All right.
man, oh man. It sounds like a Wayans Brothers movie or something. But
Right.
anyway, yes, I'm going to go through the list now that it's the appropriate brightness. And it's going to be great. So here are the names. If you hear your name, let us know you're here, and we'd be happy to do your topic. We have Ian Lam, Ezekiel Games, Dracon, LG, Toast, Immature Success, Anonymous, Amira, Meow, Stephen, Meow again, and Baka. And yes, we have. I know I've seen two of you here already. I've seen Baka, and I've seen Stephen. Yes, and yeah.
Yeah. Well, Princess, how are we doing on Steven's topic? Should we go to Debacus first?
Please.
All right.
Please? Okay.
All right. We got both of you here. We can do both of them for sure. We got time.
That's right.
So we will start with Baka's today. This is called Strain of Judgment. Both Stevens and Baka's came in today. So that's cool. And yeah, we have a link right there in the chat. You can click it. I'm going to click it right now. And it takes me right to Baka's topic, which also rolls right off the tongue too. Baka's topic.
Yeah, Bacchus topic. I didn't mess that up. I don't even talk about it. Just right off the tongue, easy peasy.
Right
man.
off the tongue.
Bacchus topic. So easy to say. There's no way you could even say it wrong. Like you could try to mix the P and the C around.
You totally
You
could.
probably couldn't do it. Bacchus topic.
You're amazing.
That's how it's said. I don't know.
Obviously, Bacchus Taco.
Baka's taco.
Baka taco.
Baka taco.
That's where my brain was going.
Oh, yes. That's it. That's it. Hey, Vana. Yes. Pear, thank you. That's so nice of you. Vana, yes. I was in band. Ryan was in band too.
Mm.
We did competitions.
Princess was in band
I
as
was
well.
in competitions.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
We had solo and ensemble, but that was really it.
That's
We had
thing that people did.
marching band competitions. We had concert band
Expo.
competitions. We had the band program that I was a part of did very well in most
Mine
of
as
the
well.
competitions. And then on solo and ensemble, I did fairly well. I only did solo and ensemble like my senior year.
Really?
So, yeah.
Huh.
It was a requirement every year from 6th grade all the way up to high school.
You had to do it?
Yeah, same with
You
ours. It
had
was
to do
always
solo and ensemble.
ours too.
Wow. We got to
Yeah.
pick if we were going to do it or not. And I didn't do it ever until my senior year because I was like, hey, you know what? I want to be a music major. I better go do this solo and ensemble thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually
See what
did
it's
pretty
about.
good. I went to states. So that
Awesome.
was
Nice.
Yeah.
cool. So,
Very
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, that was fun. But anyway, yes. we will do Baka's topic. Did you just have a festival, Vana? If you want to post in the chat how you did, that would be awesome. But yes, in the meantime, Baka's topic. No, I'm gonna say it
Okay.
wrong. It's called Strain of Judgment. And Princess, you can feel free to read it whenever you're ready.
Going day to day, doing something I didn't even realize, yet causing so much anxiety and self hatred. Staring at the ground or wall, just so I don't make those false thoughts. Avoiding eye contact, nervously looking in random directions. Realizing I do these things didn't help. It only seems to make the anxiety worse. I don't know why I do this, or when it started. Yet I want to get over this weird habit that I have grown to hate. From Baka.
Mm,
I love this one.
this is very good. It strikes a deep chord right now, I have to say. Anxiety is very, very difficult to deal with sometimes. And especially, I don't know if you've ever had anxiety attacks or panic attacks, stuff like that, where you cannot relax. You can't calm down. Your brain's flying, and everything's just tense and crazy. I know. It's it's a real challenge. But I so as I'm reading this, it's bringing to mind all of these feelings, that I've experienced throughout this, and I'm gonna go ahead and get out of Ryan's way and let him get started. So Ryan, take it away.
Sure. All right. Um, yeah, right off the bat, I love that you recognize this and that you don't like it. Um, honestly, it's good that you don't like it. I've said before, you either change what you hate or you change what you hate. In this case, I think you're gonna have to change what you hate. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's okay to hate it. It's okay to dislike it, right? There are things in life that we don't have control over, right? And in those cases, it's better to figure out how to change your perspective so that you don't go on making things worse than need be, right? There's certain things in life that you can do nothing about. So wasting your energy getting worried, worked up, and hating and anxious and etc. about just doesn't help. But as far as avoiding eye contact, looking in random directions, staring at the wall, walking certain routes to avoid people, all things like this. To hate that, you do that, I think that's justified. We shouldn't like when we do that, right? Because we know that we're doing it because we're afraid or because we're worried, etc. About usually something we know is not necessary for us to worry about or hate or to be afraid of, rather. So basically, Baka, I mean, the best thing you can do is two things you can do. One, you already did. Recognize that you're doing it. I think that's awesome. And the second thing you can do is not avoid eye contact. We have this thing when we don't like the way we look, for example, we look at ourselves in the mirror and we're like, oh, I don't like that. Maybe you got like, a rash on your skin. You got pimples or acne of some sort, and you look at your face and you're like, oh, I hate that. Or maybe you're a little bit bigger than you want to be. You have a little bit extra fat on your body and you're like, I don't like that. Right. Um, a lot of times that causes us to start avoiding people, avoiding eye contact, avoiding contact in general. We don't want people to look at us because we don't like looking at us.
Mm.
Right. But I'll tell you what, on days where I've felt that, right? Like I have atopical dermatitis, right? Which is another word for it. It's not the exact same thing, but it's a form of it is called eczema. You probably heard of eczema before.
Mm-hmm.
Eczema is a form of atopical dermatitis.
Okay.
Atopical dermatitis is a wide range of things. But anyways, it means I've got very sensitive skin. My pores tense up. It's due to a issue of what do you call that? shoot, what's that called? Immunity. It's immunity disorder.
Mm.
Believe it or not. Um, your body, your autoimmune system reacts to things it shouldn't be, kind of like allergies, and then it causes your muscles and pores and things to tighten up and do things they're not supposed to do, and it holds on to fats and stuff like that, which get stuck in the skin, and you get pimples or red spots and things like that, right? Um, so that's a thing I face. You know, I have to watch what I eat and etc. If I don't, then it can cause issues. And on days where it happens, right, I am self-conscious about that, right? Because it's on my face and I know other people can see it. And how do you can't hide that, right? But when I get out of my shell and I just present myself as is, like, yes, I've got this on my face, but I look at the person in the eye anyways, that makes me feel so much better for the rest of the day than if I look away from that person because I'm afraid of them looking at me. If I turn my head away or whatever because I'm afraid of them looking at me, if I just face it, right, and I just look at that person in the eye when they're talking to me and I treat them like they're a human being rather than worrying about what they think about me, I make sure they know that I like them, that I love them, and that I'm giving them my attention, regardless of whatever's going on here, right? That's hard. That's hard. It's hard to do. It's something that I face, and it is difficult because you know that, okay, that person's distracted by my face right now because I've got these things going on, right? Or that person is distracted by my image. Well, you're letting it distract you too, and now you can't have a real conversation with the person. But if you just get over it and start talking to the person and look them in the eye, and rather than trying to avoid contact, um, it just makes you feel better about yourself. Why? I think the main reason is, one, you're proud of yourself for doing it, right? And two, you've given a gift to that person. We always feel more fulfilled as a human being when we are able to give from and really just have an real intimate interaction with someone, right? And eye contact is intimate, right? When you stare at someone's eyes, they always say, like, you stare into someone's soul, right? When you stare into someone's eyes, it shows that person that you're paying full attention to them and that you are really trying to give them the value back that they are, right? You're trying to reflect their value back at them. You're trying to show them that they have dignity. They have the dignity of your full attention,
Mm-hmm.
and you have a dignity as well. And we feel a lot more fulfilled when we're able to do that, to give someone our full attention and not look away. Of course, you don't want to stare at persons. You don't want to overdo it, right? You don't want to just stare at their eyes and be like, "Hey, how's it going? I hope you're having a good day," and just looking at them like this the whole time. It's really weird, and it kind of bothers people, and it's straining on your eyes, and it's just unnatural. But to look at someone periodically through the conversation is important. To look at them when they're speaking. When you speak, it's normal for your eyes to wander, You're thinking about something, your eye contact shows body language, whether you're thinking or you're trying to make sure you say something correctly or that's sensitive, um, or that you're down about something or you're happy about something. Your eyes have a lot of body language within them.
Mm.
And that's why people say eyes are the, the mirrors of the soul,
Mm-hmm.
gateway to the soul. You watch an anime. A lot of you people here have watched anime before. You watch an anime, like 80% or more of all of the body language happens in the eyes in anime
Mm.
because it's true. I mean, they accentuate animes and the eyes in anime and make them really big so that you can see, but they feel more emotional because of that.
Mm-hmm.
The eyes, they wobble when they're really shaken or about to cry or they're frightened, their pupils dial down,
Mm-hmm.
or all sorts of different things, right? And that's true for human contact. If you really want to know what a person's thinking, if you want to know a person, how they're feeling, the way they're trying to navigate their conversation and their sentences, you got to look them in the eye. If you don't, you're missing so much. You lose so much of what you can read out of the person. Body language is important. So if it's nothing other than just starting to look at people in the eyes, Baka, if you only do that, I feel like a lot of this problem goes away, right? I think it's just super important. And I love that you recognized it. And the only way to fix it is to start doing it. The only way to fix it is start doing it. And I'll tell you one thing. If you start doing that, you will notice people's respect for you, the way they treat you, the way that they just feel about you as a human being goes up. When you are able to look at someone in the eyes when you're having a conversation with them, even if they don't look at you in the eyes, but they can feel your presence of you looking at them in the eyes when you talk to them, it's amazing how much respect that gains. People just look at you like, wow, that person is strong. That person is someone to be respected, someone I could follow, someone that I think, demands authority. I mean, this is a person that's, yeah, what you're doing is you're respecting them and their dignity through your action. But just having your eyes on them makes them feel like, you're so much stronger of a human being, mentally and probably physically. So highly recommend it. And the only way to do it is just start. Mm-hmm. Just start today. Next conversation, or tomorrow, obviously it's late. So next conversation you get into, focus on that. And eventually it becomes a habit and it becomes natural. But look at people in the eye. I know it's scary, but it really helps. Really helps. It really helps for how you feel about yourself inside. It definitely does. So anyways, with that, I'm going to move it on to Joe and see what he's got to say.
Yeah, Ryan, I'm totally with you. But Baka, I know what it's like to not want to look other people in the eye. Mm-hmm. I know what it's like to, to have that, just to have that self-hatred like you're talking about, that lack of self-confidence, that, like, why would anybody want to look at me? Why would anybody care to look me in the eye? I know that I've been in pits of despair like that, and it can be such a hard place to come back from. And I'll tell you, like what Ryan was saying, as far as looking people in the eye, it will boost your confidence for you to do this. And like Ryan said, yes, you just have to do it. Now, I have a little trick, okay? Because for me, looking in people's eyes was scary. When I first started to learn that making eye contact was important, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to do this. And like when you actually look in someone's eyes and you see the expression, like Ryan was saying, it's the windows to the soul, right? So like you can read so much about a person when you look at their eyes while they're talking. And it connects you. And I didn't want, like, I was scared of that, right? Mm-hmm. I was really afraid of that. And so I learned a trick. You look at this spot right here.
Right between the eyes.
Between their eyes. If you look at their eyebrows, it's a little too high. If you look at their ears, it's weird.
Oh. I had a friend who I remember I was in high school and I had a friend and he's like, Ryan, thank you. Everybody I talk to always looks me in the mouth. It's the weirdest and most annoying thing ever.
That's weird too.
And it's because he has really long teeth.
Oh, yes.
He was a big guy. He was like 6 foot something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
he's like, everybody always looks me in the mouth and it's the most annoying thing, but you don't. I was like, oh, okay, good. I didn't ever even noticed.
Yeah.
That I don't, But,
yeah. So if you're going to pick a spot and you can't quite get to the point where that connection scares you, then look right between their eyes, at where their nose meets their forehead right here, right? If you look at that spot, they will feel like you're looking in their eye. And then before you know it, you'll be looking at their eyes, and you'll get that little electric jolt of like, oh, like this, I feel their energy a little bit more, right? And so then after a while, it gets a little bit more easier to deal with. But it's it's like anything that it's like any skill. It can be learned. It takes practice, and is difficult at first. Everything. Everything's like that. There are very rare exceptions where we just do something naturally well. Now, some things we are built to do, and we learn them quicker because we just kind of have a knack for these things, whether, if we're good with our hands, we might have a knack for, doing puppetry stuff or whatever, right? Or, who knows? But people skills are people skills. Confidence skills, those are skills too. How to think properly, that's a skill. And you're absolutely right. Avoiding eye contact, looking in random directions nervously, staring at the ground or the wall. I mean, these are things that when we're not confident in ourselves, that's kind of what we show to the world. And it's okay. I know a lot of very, 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 very brilliant people who have trouble looking people in the eye. It doesn't make them any less smart. It doesn't make them any less valuable. Not in the least. It's just a skill to be learned. And I don't know about you, but I know that my confidence goes up and down, depending on what type of season I'm in. I have times when I have great confidence. And, I remember seeing a friend of mine go through this, right? Like we were in business together, and it was a very goal-driven business. And we're like, oh my gosh, I remember watching this guy, and, you could always tell what kind of month he was having. Because if he was performing, even if his results weren't all that great, but he was out like trying and working hard and performing, like his chest would be stick out a little bit, and he'd be standing a little bit taller, and he'd look people in the eye more and all that stuff. If he was not performing, or if he was really kind of getting a crummy, just getting rejection after rejection after rejection, then his confidence would go down. And his shoulders would slump a little bit. He wouldn't look you in the eyes much. He wouldn't smile as much. His head wouldn't be quite as high. Right? So it's interesting because it ebbs and flows. And sometimes we sink. And how do we get back out of that? Well, there are a couple things you can do. There are some physical things. I just learned this actually about posture, physical posture. So if you can kind of roll your shoulders back, you're exactly like what Ryan's doing right there.
Don't do
just
that.
Totally lean back, right? So if you roll your shoulders back and kind of lock them in place back, just so they're right, and then imagine there's a button on the very top of your head, and it's being attracted to the ceiling. Right? So your shoulders are rolled back, and your the top of your head is getting magnetized toward the ceiling.
Okay.
If you stand like that for a while, or sit like that for a while, it's weird. Like there's this feeling in your body. For me at least, there's kind of like this warm feeling that goes through my arms and my legs because it's like my body's properly aligned now. And it's like this energy is able to, kind of flow a little bit easier. And what if you're outside and there's no ceiling? Then it's attracted to the sky.
Yeah.
How about that?
There's a UFO. It's invisible. It's floating right above you.
Yeah.
And you suck in just your head up.
Right. But that's a physical thing you can do that will actually help you feel a little bit more confident, right?
That's pretty cool.
Yep. I learned that just like a week ago. It was really cool. And oh geez, there was something else I was going to talk about, but I forgot. So I'm going to turn it back to Ryan and see what else he's got to say, and then maybe I'll remember. So Ryan, yeah.
Oh geez. I don't know.
Already.
That's what I got. I don't remember. I think I can't remember what I was. I think I can't remember what I was gonna say about this. So I'm gonna have to try to remember while I'm doing that. Take it away, Joe.
Sweet. Really? Was I just like that? Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
No, that's no.
Well, I could chime in if you have
Yeah,
some
Go
space
for
in
it,
there.
Princess.
Yeah,
please do.
Princess, please.
And I could totally be off the base because I've, not necessarily, I haven't lived the same life experiences as you have. But to me, this kind of reminds me of when I was very paranoid.
Mm.
Which again, with someone as active as imagination as I have, um, I've very much been paranoid before, where I'm in the house alone or with people, and just things make me feel like I have to look everywhere, or have to do certain things that I don't like doing. And knowing that I'm paranoid does not help me, because all it does is fuel me to be even more paranoid and try to be even more aware of my surroundings and look everywhere, and you know or think that there's something in the bathroom when the curtain's closed in the bathroom. Even though I'm in my bedroom, nowhere near the bathroom, I have to get up, go to the bathroom, open the curtain, make sure there's nothing in the bathroom before I can leave the bathroom, go back to my room. Which isn't, a lovely or wonderful thing to have to do, and it's hard to get out of.
Mm-hmm.
But there's really two ways to try and do it. The very not effective way is to try and ignore it, or to just like do it or ignore it. But the other way is to consciously face into it, which is really going to be how you're going to try and get rid of something you don't like. In the case of paranoia, it doesn't help for me to ignore it, as in to not go and check. But what will help is going in there, telling myself ahead of time what's going on, knowing and acknowledging that, hey, I know there is nothing behind that curtain there. There's no reason for me to be nervous or all that. Like, I get it. It's whatever's going on is just what's going on. I heard something, or my thoughts are going this way. There's going to be nothing there. I do it. See, look, nothing there. Everything's fine. And next time when we hear that noise, we don't need to go check it. And the next time I'll wait and I'll wait and I'll wait as long as I can until it, is like, well, but maybe. And then I'll do the same process until it's finally gotten through my head that, hey, I don't need to worry about this. I don't need to look the different directions. I don't need to check the entire house from top to bottom, searching every room and making sure that anything that's closed is opened. Not that I opened all the kitchen cabinets, but that could definitely be an example where you go and you open each and every one of them to make sure there's nothing creepy crawly in there or something, but not facing into it or trying to think about it too much isn't necessarily going to help. What's going to help is kind of making a judgment of, here's what I expect. I'm going to go in and do it and show that that is true, or that it's false if it's, that my thoughts are in one way. I'll make a statement of a judgment that I think is going to be true, do it, figure out that it is, and try to teach my body that way that, hey, it's okay. We're okay.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
hope that's helpful. I don't know if that.
Yes,
Yeah. Thank you, Princess.
that is. I
Everyone,
like your. Oh, sorry, Ryan.
before you're a host.
Oh, wait, I am the host. That's right.
Yeah.
No, Princess, I like that. There's such a key in there that yes, we have to learn how to take action. To learn to if we think that there might be something, to make a judgment, to take action, to do something, rather than sit and stew and think and just let our mind run, because that action cures a lot of that stuff. And so I really like you know, I don't know if that's all what you were saying. I know there was a lot you were saying, but that's kind of one of the things I grabbed out of there that I really liked. So thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, it reminded me of one of the things that I wanted to say. You were talking about the individual who, if they were productive, they would hold themselves high and be full of confidence and stare at people in the eye and have a great posture. And if they were not productive during that month or 3 month period, or whatever it was, right, in the business,
Mm-hmm.
they would come in and they would show themselves as kind of um, just a lower demeanor. They were not proud of themselves, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it showed. It was like, please. It was kind of like this feeling of, please, no one noticed me. Please, no one talked to me because I don't want to have to admit that I didn't do anything this month.
Mm-hmm.
Please, yeah, that's exactly what it is. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
times, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
please don't talk to me. I don't want to have to admit that I'm not proud of myself of this or whatever it is, right? A lot of times that's what keeps us from being real with people and being face to face. But I'll tell you what, it's so funny. As soon as you talk to someone about it, and it's like for example, that person, you know, maybe they didn't do anything that month. They come in for the business and they're like, yeah, I didn't really, so please, no one look at me, no one ask me anything, no one, direct their attention to me. But if you just go up to them and talk to them real and get it out of them that, hey, they didn't have a good month,
Mm-hmm.
suddenly now they're released of that fear and they're a lot stronger,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
They feel it's so great that we, Joe and I and Princess are in the Catholic Church, because we get this chance to out all of our sins to a priest.
Yes.
And it's refreshing because it makes us clear of the worry and the guilt that other people can put on us, or that we're afraid of admitting ourselves. And we're
Mm-hmm.
just, what? It doesn't matter anymore. It's gone,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, yes, that past still exists. It's in the past. But I think that a lot of times when I notice myself doing that, right, it's funny because when I notice myself, it's usually when I'm alone, just like you, Baka. You notice yourself and you're like, I'm not doing this. I'm not having eye contact with people. There's something in me that I don't like. There's all this anxiety built up and all of this type of stuff. When I notice that in myself, what I'll do is I'll be like, okay, what's the root of this cause? Is it that I'm not proud of myself, or is it this, or is it that, right? And I figure it out. And once I figure it out, I go, okay, well, I'm not going to let that change me. I'm not going to let that have that effect on me, because that effect is not a good effect on me. Me being less confident in myself is not good for, well, of course, my image for other people. It's also
Mm-hmm.
not good for my relationships with other people. And it's not good for my mental health. So as soon as I pinpoint what it is, I can go, okay, that's what it is. I'm not going to let that, I'm not going to let that make my attitude bad. That would be stupid. That'd be a stupid use of that, right? There are good uses for problems. There are good uses when we realize something wrong about ourselves or something that we don't like. There's good uses in that. But it would be a poor judgment, right? To go, oh, okay, that's why I feel down. Well, I'll just be down then, right? Instead, what I do is I take it and I go, oh, that's why I'm down. All right, let's fight it. Let's fight that down feeling. And I go out into the world and I look at people in the eye. I stare at them as if it didn't happen. Now, not trying to push it away like, oh yeah, that never happened, blah, blah, blah. I'm not trying to do that, but I'm trying to make sure that it doesn't get the best of me, because it wants to get the best of me so that I am continuously reduced and reduced and reduced, right? You know, having low self-esteem because of something that happened gives you low self-esteem, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, now I have low self-esteem. Great. So now your low self-esteem goes even lower.
Right.
And then you're like, well, now I hate myself for doing that and, you know, allowing that to happen. So then it goes even lower, right? It's just this spiral of self-destruction, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what you got to do, just like Princess was saying, just like Joe was saying, you got to kick it. You just got to kick it and say, you know what? Let's start this spiral of self-improvement. Let's start this spiral of upward growth, because we can do that at any moment.
Mm-hmm.
We just have to start. You know, good begets good, evil begets evil. But that being the case, all bad can be turned to good if we make it, and all good can be turned to bad if we make it so. I'm sure probably a lot of you have had this negative Nancy or the whatever lizard, I forget what it is. There's another name. Um, where you know this person, and no matter what it is, they'll always make it negative. They'll always be like complaining about everything, and you're like, oh, this is a good thing, and they're just like, yeah, but it also means this, all this crap. You're like, dude, get out of my head, because I don't want you here. Leave. You're not allowed near me anymore. Like, I don't need you making great things into terrible things, you know? This it's just because of their perspective on the world. It's so negative, and everything is a negative. It's a bad habit, and that's all it is. It's a habit. It can change, but it only changes through new habits. You make a new habit of being positive. You know, Baka, if you feel like you have a habit of making negative things, even good things into negative things, that's a really big step in the right direction, is making a new habit. You know, just try to find ways to make things positive. Try not to beat yourself up over these things, because what good is it doing for you? You feel the ramifications of that. You experience it, and other people around you experience it. I mean, when you don't look at someone in the eyes, they know that you're not. When you're avoiding someone, they're like, yeah, I've done that before. I know what they're doing. They're avoiding me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we notice when other people do it to us.
Mm-hmm.
So try to kick it, you know, just be like, okay, yes, that is going on. I'm not going to let it best me. I'm not going to let it destroy me. I'm not going to let this spiral of self-destruction continue. I'm going to stop it right here. And yeah, I think that's really the key. But that's what I got. I mean, Joe, back to you.
I love what you were going. It reminds me of a story. Two guys fishing, right? There's this one guy who's just always, like you were talking about, the negative guy, right? He's just negative, negative, negative all the time. Never sees anything good with anything. And his friend's like, all right, I got this thing. You know, I'm gonna get him to say something good, right? So he's like, I got this new dog, right? And they're in a boat, and they weren't fishing; they were duck hunting. I'm sorry. So they're out there, and he's like, they see a duck, and he shoots it, and he says for his dog to go get it. The dog runs across the water, grabs the duck, runs back, and drops it in the boat with him. And he sees another one, shoots it. Dog runs off across the water, runs back across the water, doesn't get wet, just back in the boat. He does this over and over again. And then finally he asks the friend, he's like, he's got to say something positive about this, right? And so he goes to his friend, he's like, so, did you notice something about my dog? He's like, yeah, I noticed he can't swim.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's funny. But anyway, you're absolutely right. Negativity is a habit, positivity is a habit, and we can train ourselves. Confidence is a habit, lack of confidence is a habit, and we can train ourselves. Now, sometimes we're going through stuff that really, really knocks the wind out of us, and it's hard, and we might need help. In fact, I was talking to my therapist about spiraling thoughts and stuff like that, right? Because, we're all susceptible to this. We feed a thought and it continues and continues and continues. And then it feeds another one and it just goes. And, a lot of times those bad thoughts are based on something illogical. Something that's not really realistic, but we let ourselves buy into it because of our emotional state. And so if we can logic ourselves out of that at the beginning, when we catch it, if we can catch it at the beginning, we can stop the whole spiral. Now, there are times we don't catch it and it spirals. And so then what do you do? Well, depending on what you're doing, where you're at, man, I have found sometimes I reach out to friends on Discord. I'll pick up the phone, call somebody, and I don't even have to talk to them about what's going on, but just to talk to another person, right? Whether it's through messaging or on the phone or whatever, just to talk to somebody about anything, because it's going to interrupt the spiral. And if I'm talking to a positive person or somebody who's having a good day or whatever, that helps a lot as well. Because even if we're not deeply discussing what I'm going through and figuring it out, what's happening is it's lifting me out of the spiral of the downward thought. Does that make sense? And so we can change our environment by reaching out to somebody. And I encourage you, I know you have friends on Discord. I know you're on servers in Discord. I love seeing your stuff on the Minecraft channel, the Minecraft General, all the stuff you're building. And I like seeing it with your texture packs. Like I see your stuff on the server, with the regular texture pack, but I always enjoy seeing the stuff through your screenshots because you always had that cool texture pack going, and it just makes it look just that a little bit extra cool. So those are the things. And I'll tell you what, one of the best ways I've learned to build confidence is like we were talking about, to do something. And sometimes it's hard to get ourselves to do something. I'll tell you a story. I had this list, clean the shipping room, because the room for all the Black Static and Swerve shipping stuff's over there. And it got to be a mess because it's also my repair shop for guitar work and drum work and, any electronics work that I'm doing. It's like kind of like this all-purpose room for stuff I got to do. And it's just cluttered. Oh, it's also my box opening place where when I get a box from Amazon or something, that's where I open the box and I leave it sitting somewhere, right? I take all the packaging out and I grab the thing that I like. This microphone was one of those. I still have the packaging all strewn about all over the place in there, right? So I've had this task on my list, clean the shipping room. It's been on there for like 2 weeks. And I'm like, you know what? I got to lower that goal a little bit because obviously having that on my to-do list isn't motivating me to get it done. I just look at that and I'm overwhelmed with all the stuff in there. So I might have to start small. Pick up a screwdriver and put it in the toolbox. And then celebrate my victory. I win.
I did it.
Throw away a box. Yes, I win. And it's okay to go crazy. It's okay to be a little silly, right? But anytime we do something productive that's forward moving, our confidence gets a little bit of a boost. But a lot of times things are a little bit too complex and maybe too big and maybe too long term. Sometimes we need to simplify things. As there's a friend of mine he said, you got to chunk it up. And that means you got to cut it into chunks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you cut it into little bite-sized chunks. I'm not going to go run a marathon. I'm going to run 1 mile. I'm not even going to run a mile.
26 times.
I'm going to go You know, don't throw away Box. Box has feelings too. Yes, you're right. Recycled. Um, but anyway, that's those things really help. When you can do something and you can do something productive, it helps boost our confidence just a little bit. So, anyway, we've talked on this topic for a while now, and Baka, I
Mhm.
really, really appreciate you sharing all your topics, and this one especially. And my heart goes out to you because I know this is a tough spot to be in. Anxiety
Mhm.
is no joke. It can be really, really hard, and it can cause physical effects as well. In fact, that's how they kind of um, test you for it. Like when you go and they have like little inventories for like anxiety or depression or whatever, right? The anxiety inventory is all questions about things that are happening to you physically because that's how anxiety manifests itself. So it can be really debilitating at times. So I understand it's tough, but
Yeah.
understand we love you
Mhm.
and thanks so much for the topic and hopefully that was some help. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah,
I
I
just
think.
want to say one quick thing for
Oh,
you, Baka.
yeah.
You said you said it's not when I'm talking with someone, more of just passing by and getting silently judged. And
Mm.
you recently sprained your ankle, and so you were limping and so on, and you're paranoid about their judgment. Rachel has a great comment on that. Feel free to read it, but also, you know, are you judging everybody you're walking by? Maybe you are, maybe you're not. Um, but what does your judgment of them matter? They are who they are, and your judgment doesn't change anything. So it's kind of the way you got to look at yourself. Like, it doesn't matter what other people think of you. I mean, unless they act on that, it doesn't really matter. Most of the time, people are too worried about looking at themselves to be looking at you
Mm-hmm.
walking by. And if
It's
they
true.
see you limping, they're probably not judging you negatively. They're probably just judging you like, oh wow, that person has a limp. I hope they're okay. Or I wonder what happened. Generally, when someone has a limp, it's not like, oh wow, that person looks stupid. Like people don't usually make fun of people. I mean, unless they're just bullies, and then
Mm-hmm.
who cares what bullies think? They're just wrong anyways. If they're wrong, what does it matter? They're just dumb. But anyone who's got any heart, anyone who's got any smarts, they're they're looking at you, and you're like, oh wow, they have a limp. I hope he's okay. Or I wonder what happened, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, yeah, I think recognize how you look at other people, and if you judge people harshly and all that, um, just because of things. And if you do, that's something that you need to work on, I guess. But you'll probably more likely notice that you're too worried looking at yourself, too worried about yourself to look at other people most of the time. And that's the way most of the people are. Um, and even if they do look at you, what's it matter? It doesn't. If you let how other people see you change how you feel about yourself, then you're leaving it up to the unknown to decide how you feel about yourself rather than looking at the truth. And that is, you are you. You should only you have to say about yourself how you should feel about yourself. You should be in control of that, right? Don't give it up to random people walking across the street that you don't even know, and you don't even know their thoughts for sure because they didn't say anything,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, and it's just hitting you with some hard logic. Sorry, but you know this, so
Mm-hmm.
just saying it, and I hope it's helpful to recognize that. But anyways, sorry.
Yes. And no, that's very
That's it.
true. We're all a lot alike. We really are.
Mm-hmm.
We've all got, you know, little stuff wrong with us. We've all got little things we're self-conscious about, you know. Everybody. Everybody's got something. It's okay. None of us are perfect, but we can all be good, right?
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's the statement right there. It's a perfect statement.
Mm-hmm. So yes, thank you so much, Baka. It means a lot for you to share your topics with us, and yes, hopefully that was helpful. So I'm gonna go back down through the list, and we'll see who is still here. Steven was here a little bit ago, Maybe he's still here. But Ian Lam, Ezekiel Games, Dracon, LG, Toast, Immature Success, Anonymous. I keep saying Anonymous, even though Anonymous isn't going to tell us when they're here if they really want to be anonymous.
Yeah.
Amira, Meow, and Steven. And Steven is still here. All right. Excellent. Well, we can move on to Steven's topic. Let's see. Oh, and I can probably clear Bacchus from the current topic place too, right now. Stop. Boop.
Boop.
Hey, there's the link. Lincoln. All right. So, yep, there you can go to the link. This is called Favorites from Stephen and Princess. When you are ready, you can feel free to read it.
Give me a moment to click my own link.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
Sorry, I was answering the chat.
That's
Go
okay.
Okay.
Now this topic is more directed towards families. It might work for others, but I doubt it would count for, say, your favorite song or something like that. But I feel like many families have come across the question of which is my favorite, or if having a favorite is something that I should even consider. While a majority of parents would say favorites are something you shouldn't pick and is usually looked down upon, from what I know, I feel like everyone has a favorite subconsciously, even if they themselves aren't fully aware of it. Whether that says or not, sorry. What that says is a completely different question. So, if everyone usually has a subconscious favorite, the question becomes, is it good or is it bad? Well, like many things, it's a bit of both, in my opinion. See, with favorites comes equality. This goes specifically with parents because having a favorite can get that parent to treat that one a little better than the others. I feel like that having a favorite as a parent isn't bad, but when there's a noticeable difference, that's when it becomes a problem. There's nothing wrong with having a favorite. There just shouldn't be a difference on how you treat other kids, at least in my opinion. With siblings, it's a bit weirder. I'd say that, well, there's usually always some kind of rivalry towards them, so like having a favorite brother or sister is fairly common, and it isn't really looked down upon, if you know what I'm saying by that. Having favorites is also something that tends to make people happy. Like when your favorite brother gets accepted in a school they really want to get into. You'll most likely be happy with anyone you know getting into a school they want to, but because he's your favorite, you're that little bit more extra excited about it, you know? Or say if your favorite child is the best in the class. I could come up with more examples. But that said, I want to clarify it's not like as if the child, if they aren't at the top of their class, that the parent isn't happy because that child isn't their favorite anymore. You'd still love all your kids, and you'd be excited if you're a good parent and treat all your kids equally, even your favorite. It's just that favorite would make you slightly more happy, in my opinion, because, well, favorite. Sadly, there are parents that don't treat their kids equally, and that's a completely different situation and a different problem. But my stance on favorites in families is that they're both a blessing and a curse. For if you know how to treat others equally, even when biased, the curse of a favorite isn't something you'd experience, but the blessing of happiness is something you would. But that's my stance, and I'm curious on yours, as always, so please do tell. Also, because Joe, our lovely host, wasn't here last week, I thought I'd make a topic more relatable towards him as a father of two, if I remember correctly. So I'm especially excited towards your response, Joe, and glad to have you back. From Stephen.
Well, thank you, Stephen. That means a lot. I really appreciate that. And yes, I am a father of two. I have two sons. And I always tell them, I'm like, hey, you're my favorite oldest son to my oldest son. And I say, you're my favorite youngest son to my youngest son. And so, yes, I always talk about having favorites with them. And, but at the same time, there's some interesting dynamics that can go along, and a lot of it has to do with how confident one of my kids is feeling or not feeling at any given point in time. Sometimes people feel like they're the favorite, Sometimes people feel like you like him better than me, and I know I've said that. I used to say that to my parents. You know, he's your favorite, not me. But a lot of that has to do with how I'm feeling about me, right? It doesn't have to do with what actually is happening. And so as a parent, we love our kids. Ryan can attest to this, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
As a parent of many.
As a parent of many.
Yes. Zero is a lot
Zero.
to handle.
I'll tell you, it's amazing. But yeah, it's an interesting thing. And favorites can go in a lot of ways. I will say this before I turn it over to Ryan. With any client that I'm dealing with on the phone, I always say, "See, that's why you're my favorite." And I say that to all of them.
That's great.
And you know what? It's kind of funny. It's kind of there, whatever. But and they know. They're like, "You say that to everybody." I'm like, "Yeah." But I
Doesn't
really
mean it's
mean
not
it when
true.
I'm talking to you.
No. Oh, jeez.
But anyway, I don't know. It's just being goofy. But all right, so I'll get out of your way, Ryan. Take it away.
Awesome. Fantastic topic, Stephen. Yeah, growing up, I don't think I ever even once had the thought of, oh, I'm my mom's favorite, or oh, my brother's favorite one. Never crossed my mind. Um, you're obsessed with my coffee cups. Thanks, Rachel. You're awesome. Um, you know, uh it's interesting because my mom was just probably the best mom ever to exist in the world. So she
She's
doesn't
pretty
think so,
awesome.
but
She's
she's
pretty
pretty great.
awesome.
Yeah.
I mean,
Your
I
mom's
never
pretty
had her
awesome
for a
too, though,
mom.
Joe. Mm-hmm.
My mom is a very awesome mom. Yes.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, continue.
Yeah, we have a lot of awesome moms here. I know
Mhm.
Baron's mom is awesome too. Anyways, so one time I was in the car with Baron and he goes, "Yeah, my mom's a saint," and I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And he said, "Why?" And he's like, "Well, I didn't know your mother had passed." And he said, "She's not dead." I was like, "Oh, okay." It was a funny dialogue. Because to be a saint, you have to be dead. And then he was like, "Oh yeah, that's right."
To be
Um,
canonized saint.
to be canonized saint, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Well, technically to be any saint, right? Canonized or
No.
not. Because you have to be dead in order because being a saint means you're with God in heaven. So
Yeah,
you
but
have to be dead.
Paul talks about the speaking to the saints on earth too.
Oh, okay.
It's a different
Got it.
kind of saint.
Saint as
I
in
guess it's probably capital
like
S
to be
saint or
saint.
small s saint.
Yes. I think you're right. I think that's the
Probably.
distinction right there.
Yeah.
Yep. Awesome. Got that
Anyway.
settled. Maybe he meant, little less. I'm sorry, Baron. I didn't realize you meant little less. My fault. Anyways, um, so continuing on, I think that um, picking favorites isn't something you pick. It's not usually a choice. You know, um, you can ask someone like, "Oh, what's your favorite color?" And they'll be like, "It's blue, cerulean." And you're like, "Oh, why is that?" A lot of times they will give you a reason like, "Oh, blue is calming" or whatever, right? But in their heart, it's not like they chose that. A lot of times it's just like, that's my favorite color because I like it. This is my favorite food because it tastes the best to me, but I didn't get to pick that it tastes the best. Um, a lot of times in life, we don't pick our favorites. We just have favorites.
Mhm.
Um, and that's the way it goes. For me, I have a lot of things I don't have favorite of, and that sometimes um, made conversations very short, especially with Princess when she's asking me my favorite something, and I'm like, I don't have one, and that's it.
We've had many a conversation on this, by the way, for those interested.
Yes. Uh-huh. And there's different, apparently, different meanings of favorite. There can be someone who has a lot of favorites of something, or someone who says, no, there's only one favorite allowed. So it's an interesting topic, to say the least. I think that if you have a favorite child, it's not probably your fault. And just like you were saying, Stephen, it's important to treat the children, all of them, with equal amount of value. However, something that my mom did was she treated me and my brother differently because we're different people. We like different things. We're excited by different things. And so she knew that and she catered to that, right? And so I think a lot of times as children, if you don't recognize that, you might think your parent is picking favorites because you're saying, oh, my parent is doing this for this child, but they never do that for me. And I'd really like it if they did that for me. Well, your parent might not recognize that you want that. And they're only doing it for the other child because they're trying to cater to that child specifically and you specifically because you're different human beings. You know, we have different friends. We don't always talk to them all the same way. In fact, if we did, that'd be rather boring. Um, if if you did, you would have one conversation that would be the same every single time with everybody, and it wouldn't make sense. It just that's not the way we work as human beings. You have someone who's really into cars, and you're really into cars too, but you have another friend who isn't into cars. You don't go to that person who's not into cars and be like gushing on them for 3 hours straight about cars when you know they just want the conversation to end.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, so you treat people differently. In fact, one child of yours might have more in common with you than the other child. And so you're both into cars and the other child is not, right? And so you and the other child who are really into cars, you have this dynamic where you both get really excited and passionate, you know? And the other child that's not into cars looks at that and goes, wow, he doesn't care about me. Because I've never had a conversation like that with him. He never gets passionate about a conversation that we're having. It's not about favoritism. It's just natural human being, experience and relationships. And it's not that that person has a better relationship. It's just that there's a topic they're both passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's the extent of it. There's no more than that. It's not like they wouldn't be able to be passionate about another person. There could be another person who's really into cars. They could have a cars. They could have a passionate topic about,
Mm-hmm.
conversation. It's not you that's the problem. It's not that they're picking favorites. It's just that that topic is a favorite of theirs. And if you want to engage them in that topic, learn to like cars more. But that's the problem. Sometimes we're just into things and sometimes we're not, right? Just like I said, sometimes some people like broccoli and some people don't. Now, if you're me, you're like, I don't like broccoli. Well, I better fix that. And you learn to like broccoli. I've never had a problem with broccoli, but I did have a problem with radishes. I didn't like radishes. So I
You don't
taught
like
myself how to like
radishes?
radishes.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Isn't
right.
that weird?
I remember the radish story.
Yeah. Radishes were the first food that I ever picked that I said, I don't like this, but everybody else does. And I want to enjoy it too. So I'm going to learn how to like them. And I forced myself to eat radishes in a very special way. And that was to put them on my tongue because I knew psychologically there's no reason I shouldn't like these. So I put them on my tongue, chewed them up, let them sit there on my tongue until I couldn't taste it, and I'd swallow it. And I come back in half an hour, or actually 15 minutes probably, do it again. 15 minutes later, do it again. 15 minutes later, I put one in my mouth and I was like, hey, this doesn't taste bad. Kind of just tastes like nothing. And then, you know what? And now I am 100% fine with radishes. Have been ever since.
Wow. Kind of just tastes
And
like
then
nothing.
it just tastes like nothing. I tricked my brain into going, because it's only a matter of how you perceive things. It's a matter of brain. It's not a matter of physical, like a physical reality. Like this food for you and your human being is bad because of, it's just like, okay, my brain is perceiving this as bad taste. I just need to fix that. So I changed the way my brain was handling it, changed my brain process, and it works. And you can do that about topics too. In fact, the more you're able to enjoy a plethora of topics, the more interesting you can be as a human being to other people. And the more you can be interested in other people, the more passionate conversations you can get into, etc.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, back on topic. Favorites, I think in the family, yes, they do happen. Because you can naturally get really excited about a single child, but not because it's the child, but because of a topic that you guys share an interest in. And it's not like you like that child more. It's just Happens. But then on the other side of things, there are parents who do have a favorite and they let it be known. And those are not usually ideal or iconic parents that we want to follow, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're parents that need some help, right? And it's not like it's their fault that they have a favorite, but they need to do a better job at making sure that they treat their children right, period, regardless of if they do like one more than the other. And so I 100% agree with you, Stephen, that that is important. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's what I got for now. Joe, do you have anything? You have
Yeah,
children.
I do have children. They're wonderful. And like I said, they're both my favorites in a lot of
Mm-hmm.
different ways. They're two
Sure.
different people. They're into different stuff. They like different foods. They like different stuff, and it's great. But I look at them and I just enjoy discovering what they're into. I never wanted to be a parent that was like, "Hey, I want you to do the kinds of things that I want you to like what I like. I want you to do what I do." Now my oldest son, he did percussion in school for a year because he knew I was a percussionist and he wanted to do it too. All this stuff, and he always wanted me to teach him to play drums, and we just never had much time. And he didn't. The times when I did try to teach him, he was more interested in not listening to me, so that was okay. Um,
My favorite activity is not listening to my dad. Yeah.
but that's okay.
Teenagers.
That's okay. It's whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
I just enjoy learning what he's into. He's into drawing. He's into
Mm-hmm.
drawing. He's into gaming. I tell you, he has this exuberant voice and excitability.
Mm.
He could be a YouTuber, a Twitch streamer, something. Man, when he's gaming, he has a lot of fun. And he's vocal about it. So he's fun to watch play the game as much as it is
Mm.
watching the game he's playing, right?
Sure.
So I'm like, man, he could be really, really good at that. He's got some charisma, right? And he's into art and loves all that stuff. And my other son, he's a little bit more on the athletic side. He's whose soccer game I was at last week when I missed. So he had a soccer game, and
They all want to meet your child now.
they do.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Stephen and Snowlock always want you to hook them up with them.
oh yeah. I'm sure. Eventually.
Yeah.
I'm sure eventually you guys will get to meet him. He's awesome. Both my kids are awesome. Both of them actually could be good YouTubers. They both have great personality. They're just different, right? My oldest son is a little bit more exuberant and excitable and all this kind of stuff. My younger son, he's a little bit more wisecracky
Mm.
and subtle, right? Still hilarious,
Mm-hmm.
right? But they're fun to get to know. And so as far as picking a favorite, it's so hard. I don't understand a parent who would have a favorite, except for going through basically just like what you were talking about, Ryan, where they have a relatability thing, right? They
Mm-hmm.
relate to a child more because they're more interested in the things that the child is naturally interested in, right? And so they have this relation to them. And I think sometimes we might think that way about other people, that they're only going to be interested in getting to know me if I'm interested in what they're interested in. If I
Mm.
like what they like, that's how they're going to want to get to know me. But not everybody's like that.
Yeah, it's true.
Some people are like that. And I think that's sad
Hmm.
because you're missing out. There's so much good. There's so much amazing stuff out there. And I've been guilty of it too, where I've shut myself off from getting to know somebody because I've judged them for something that they liked or something that they didn't like or whatever they were into and stuff like that. And what happens is we close our mind off to the genius of another person. You know, my father-in-law, who recently passed, God rest his soul, was a car guy. Loved cars, muscle cars especially. He would go to car shows. I was never all that interested in going to car shows. But you know what? I was interested in him. And so he'd take me out to his garage and he'd show me all the cool stuff that he put on his car. And I was like, man, that is really cool. And like all the little upgrades he did. He had a 73 Cuda and a 69 Camaro. And these two cars were just beautiful. Beautiful. He had them custom painted, so they were really sharp and shiny. He took really good care of them. Under the hood, he had put all like new stuff in there that, was shiny. He liked shiny. So like there was all these chrome fittings on everything in the engine and stuff and, all kinds of great stuff. It was really cool. But, he'd go to car shows and I was never really all that into go to the car show. It's all good, If I want to stand on a parking lot, whatever. But you get to learn about what people are into, and it's a lot of fun. I'm not really into sports all that much either. I'm not into watching sports on TV. But you know what? I'm into watching my kids play sports. You know why? Because it's them. And I love watching them. My oldest son played basketball. And he played baseball. And I don't know if he's going to take much of an interest in it anymore. He doesn't seem like he's all that interested in doing it anymore. He's more interested in, drawing and gaming and stuff like that. My youngest son, he's really into soccer right now. So you know what? I'm into it with him. They got into martial arts. You know what? I literally got into that with them. Yeah. But as far as having a favorite, that's so hard because they're both my favorite in so many different ways. It's crazy. And so honestly, I can tell them they're both my favorite. I can honestly say that to each one of them individually that they're my favorite because literally they both are. And I don't know. I guess that's the kind of parent I am. I don't know how all parents are out there. I'm sure there are parents that are a little choosier. But here's another interesting thing. There's a misconception out there. It says, hey, parents like a kid who behaves. And yes, we do. That's true. But I remember a speaker one time saying, which of your children do you love the most? And everybody was like thinking, that's an interesting question, because as a parent, you're like, do I love one of my kids more than the others? And they're like, I'll tell you what, it's the kid who's always in trouble. The kid who's in trouble the most with you, that's the one you love the most because you spend the most time working with them. Right? And so if love equals time spent, then the kid who gives you the most grief and the most trouble and raises your blood pressure the most, that's the one you love the most. And it's very, very interesting perspective. I don't necessarily agree with it wholeheartedly, but it's something to think about.
I think a better way to phrase that would be, because it's phrased in such a way that it sounds controversial so that it'll really get your attention. Mm-hmm. But a better way to phrase it so that it's not so controversial is, which one do you spend the most amount of love on? Mm-hmm. Because love is a sacrifice. Mm-hmm. And one of them you have to make a lot more sacrifices for than the other. And there's just people out there you will require to sacrifice for more than other people. Doesn't mean you love them any differently, but it does require a lot more from you. Um, so yeah.
Yep. And you see that in kids that act out.
Mhm.
If there is a if there's a deficit in the amount of attention I'm giving one of my kids, then man, they'll do something to get my attention.
Mhm.
And usually it's something destructive or something annoying or something loud or whatever, right? Or something against their other brother, whatever.
Usually.
Yeah, something like that. But anyway, yeah, that's about all that I have for right now. Ryan, did you have anything else about favorites?
No, I don't think I did. So
Wow.
thanks for the topic.
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, I tell you what, Stephen, I don't know if you have brothers or sisters or how many are in your family or whatnot. You know, it's easy as a child to imagine us not being our parents' favorite, or maybe being our parents' favorite. I don't know.
Yeah, for me, I was always like, oh shoot, am I the favorite? Just because I don't want to be.
Mhm.
Because I don't want to be like I've always like I remember like the first time I figured out I was something better at something than my brother. My brother was always better at me in like everything because he was 2 years older than me.
Right?
And
Yeah.
finally I was better than him at something and immediately I felt awful. I was like,
What?
no, he's not good at this. Oh, I feel so bad for him. So that's like my personality. It's so weird. It's like he's not good. I don't want to bring it up because I don't want to rub it in his face. Like, what if he's super sensitive about that? I don't want to bring. Poor Kyle. Oh man. Like that was my attitude about finally being better than him at something, and that's hilarious. So I never, if it was anything to do with favorites, I was like, man, my mom treats me really nice. Sometimes she's not nice to my brother because he liked to argue.
Mm.
You know that's true.
Yes, yes.
At
He
that age,
will
he
logic you, man. Oh man.
yes.
I imagine.
And
I
so
imagine he could raise your mom's blood pressure.
oh yeah, oh yeah. I was always the agreeable one. Just like mom would say something like, yeah, anything to avoid problems. Yeah, I'll just say yes. Okay, you want me to do that? Okay, I'll do it. No argument here. I just want harmony.
Your brother not quite the same.
Yeah, yeah, he didn't care about any of
Why
that
does that why does that
hullabaloo.
need to be done?
Yeah. Yeah, you tell him to
That
do
doesn't make
something, he
any
asks
sense.
why. Ask him to do it.
Clean the dishes. Why? They're just going to be dirty again. That's silly.
Yeah. Yeah, clean them this way. Why do it that way? Look at my method. I just made this up. It's way better. Here, let me show you the logic of it. Hold, you need me to grab you a piece of paper and write it down for you? You wouldn't be able to read my writing anyways. It's terrible.
Great. Princess, were you saying something?
And I was waiting till you guys were finished because I didn't want to interrupt.
Yeah, no, go for
Yes.
it.
For me, being a favorite is kind of different. I grew up in a household where one sibling needed a lot more attention, to the point where my parents couldn't even give my sibling enough attention for their needs, really.
Mm.
So there was always a deficit of time and attention. So for me, hearing that I was the favorite, not that my parents didn't also have, my sister is the other favorite, but hearing that was very important to me to know that they loved me, because there was a lot of times where they didn't have the time or the energy to actually show their love in that same sort of connectivitive way, because of how demanding as a child my sister tended to needed to get for her to try and be a functioning human being.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
for me, having that was piece of like, well, at least I'm the favorite. Sure, I'm not the one who gets, a lot of the attention or whatever. And, as all kids do, at some point, I definitely acted out of like, but you let my sister do that. What about me over here?
And
I don't give you much
younger?
trouble.
Yeah.
I am. I am
You're the younger, right? Yeah. Okay. Yep. Well, because
But
they're older. I ever hear that?
They're older and more threatening with how if they misbehave, it's a lot worse than when you do, dear. So you just stay our little princess.
Yep.
Which was like, yes, but also that makes me want to be threatening, so you can visit
Yeah,
me.
right.
But fine, I won't be because I love you.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yes, I have a funny story about my brother. My brother thought I was the favorite. I thought he was the favorite.
Mm.
You know, it was funny because like there were a couple different dynamics going on. One, my brother was the picker. He would pick on me incessantly. Pick, 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 and make me mad.
Mm.
Stark raving mad, and keep doing it. And my mom would warn him. She'd be like, "He's gonna clock you," and I would, because I was the beater, right? He was the picker, I was the beater, and so
my mom,
he would pick on me,
my
and I
mom
would punch him.
sometimes, my mom sometimes made me punch my brother.
Really?
Yes, really. He's like, Ryan, you get over here right now. I'm like, I don't want to punch him. You punch him. I was like, I'm not even joking. That was my mom.
That's
She's like,
impressive
"You-"
parenting right there.
That's
She was
great.
like, you punch him right now or I'm going to, and it's going to hurt a lot more if I do it. And I was like, okay, sorry, Kyle. And I'd punch him. I'm not even joking. It's hilarious.
Wow. He needs to be punched.
Yeah.
That's great.
Sorry to interrupt. I just had to share quick.
No, you're totally fine. But the thing was, is I always got in trouble. He wouldn't really get. I didn't see. I didn't see if he got in trouble after I punched him because I'd punch him and then he'd cry, and then he'd go and run to mom. Mom, he hit me, and then I'd get sent to my room, and then I don't know what happened outside. All I knew is I was in my room and I was mad. Right.
Even mad.
But then, so I always thought he was the favorite because I was always the one in my room in trouble. Now, he thought I was the favorite because when I was 3 years old, he taught me how to read. The reason he taught me how to read was because he wanted me to read him stories so he could fall asleep. So he'd always be like, Joey, will you read me a story? And so I'd like read him a story, and then I'd be like, hey, Matt. My brother's name is Matt. And finally he'd be asleep, and so then I'd just read to myself, right? But he's the one who taught me how to read. And so then I get into preschool, and I get to my preschool teacher, and I'm like, hey, let's read this book. And we grab a book, and I read it to her in preschool. Now, you're not supposed to learn to read till you're in kindergarten.
Yeah.
Right? And so they thought I was this child genius. And so they had like all these people testing me. You know, I had this person come over and do all these really boring tests to see if I was like this high aptitude genius person or whatever, right? Turns out I was normal. But my brother saw that happening and he thought I was a genius. And so he thought I was the favorite.
Mm.
But it was his fault because he taught me how to read.
That's funny.
So, yes. Yikes. If Joe's brother picked out another as a black belt, yeah, but I would never kick him now.
Yeah.
We love each other. But yes, it is fun. You know, family dynamics are crazy sometimes. But we're all different, right? I mean, Ryan, you and Kyle are a lot different. That's
Oh, yeah.
for sure. Yep. I'm quite a bit different than my brother.
Mm-hmm.
Princess, I'm sure you're quite a bit different than your sister.
Very, very.
Yep. And we're all the youngest.
Oh, that's right. We are.
Oh, team youngest.
Team youngest. Why?
Just why?
Just why?
No M, no C, no A. Just why?
That's right. So anyway, thank you so much for that topic, Steven. You're awesome. We got like 14 minutes left or 20 minutes left or something.
Well, we didn't start till like 8:15,
That's right.
8:17.
Yeah, we can do another topic. Meow, are you here? I saw your name in the chat. We have a topic from you that I think we did you guys promise that we were going to do that topic this week?
Yeah.
If Meow is here, then let's do it. Let's do that topic.
So Mia
Actually,
does have a second one, so we should
that's right.
just make sure.
Yes,
Oh,
Meow,
Meow,
do
which
you
one do
have
you
a
want us to do?
preference?
A
That's
song for
not
a
one of your
friend or
topics.
singing? Yeah, you didn't pick Cat in the Box. That's
But
didn't
I
see
love
that
that
topic
cat in the
from you.
box. The cat in the box is
Yeah.
cool.
Meow, you've got to be kidding me.
I made a pun yesterday. I forgot what it was, but Joe Bohan would have been so proud of me.
Oh yeah.
I'm
He's
proud of
always-
you too.
Oh, thank you. Ash's team oldest. Oh.
That's it. Oh, you are. I see. Why? Because you were born that way. Oh.
That's awesome. Team middle child M.
Okay, I don't have anything for M.
MC middle child.
Interesting.
Oh.
Interesting.
MC, yeah. Mic check. MC.
Check.
Y MC O.
Yeah, we're just missing a YMCO.
Oh yes, that's awesome. Meow, did you have a preference on which one we should do? The first one or the second one?
Young Men's Christian Occult. It's an association, it's just a cult.
Oh no.
Where did this show go to? Oh my gosh.
Let's read it back in. Meow,
Yes.
meow.
This is what happens when I host right after not being here. You know, things go a little
Mm.
haywire. I'm sorry.
Let's do the first one.
Pray
Meow,
for
I'm picking
Princess.
for you.
All right. So, yes, a song for a friend. Oh, it's not
Oh.
working. Something's not working.
I'm
Oh.
assuming it's their messaging ability.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh.
Okay. All right. All right.
Yeah, you might have a connection issue. Sometimes mine doesn't go through too, so.
Oh, could you do the second one?
Could you do the
There it
second
is.
one? All right, well, good thing I
Hey.
picked for you.
I guess we're doing the second
All right.
one.
Second one.
Yeah, let's do that. All right. This is called Singing.
Oh, team only child. You're part of team O.
That's also O.
Yeah, you're the youngest and
is
the oldest.
oldest.
Youngest and oldest.
Yep.
You're the You're the
You could-
oldest. If there happens to be another one, you'll still be the O.
That's yeah. But hey, you can pick whatever team you want to be on then. Only
Yeah.
child? You're like a free agent.
It's usually just a category of its own.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so this is called Singing, and it's from Meow. The link is there in the chat. And Princess, whenever you are ready, feel free.
I would like to start singing more, but I need to get better at it. I notably need to work on confidence, volume, and breath. I'm sure there are other things I need to work on, but I'm not knowledgeable enough about it to know what else there is, and those are the main ones. Any tips that you have on how to get better at singing? Any daily exercises to do, or any YouTube channels to watch, or articles to read are appreciated. I'm also starting to play ukulele and eventually guitar, so if you have any tips for those, that is also appreciated. Thanks, Meow.
Meow. Awesome topic. Thank you. This is one that we could probably talk until tomorrow about.
Yep.
So
Because
please
Tomorrow's
don't.
not that far away. You can do it.
It's not.
What do you
that
say,
far
Meow?
away.
What do you say? Just kidding.
Yes. And yeah, I really appreciate this. And I'm gonna say a few things real quick and then get out of Ryan's way because I know he's got a lot of he has trained himself vocally very, very well. So I would listen
Thanks.
to what he has to say. And yeah, but I just wanted to say on a personal note, I also started playing guitar first with a ukulele. Now, I played a baritone ukulele because it's tuned the same as the highest 4 strings on a guitar. So it's kind of like a mini guitar, right? And so then it was just adding the 2 more strings when I actually got the guitar. So I know a normal regular ukulele is tuned different. But yeah, it's fun. But kindred spirits with you, buddy. But anyway, so I'm gonna turn it over to Ryan. Ryan, take it away.
Awesome. Well, yeah. Hey, Neil. First of all, the best of wishes to you on this. I know it's an adventure and it's a lifelong one.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to continue to get better, singing is something that has endless limits. You can always get better, and practicing is important, right? Here's some some quick tips for you. Oh, bless you.
Thank you.
There's some quick tips for you. Some of the best exercises you can do. I can recommend. First, train your ears.
Mm.
Your ears, like, you know what a bottleneck is? Bottleneck is like when you have the lowest denominator sets the overall performance, right? It's like you have a bunch of people in a band, but one person doesn't know how to play, and they're just doing whatever while the band is playing the song. It's going to make the whole performance terrible because you can hear this person just going wailing off into no direction, right? And or like a funnel, you're trying to get a bunch of water through some place real fast, but you have this stinking funnel the size of a pin, and you're like, why isn't the water we're going through? Well, you take the funnel out of the way. The bottleneck in singing, there's a lot of them, but one of them is your ears. You can never be better than your ears are. So train your ears. How do you do that? Playing an instrument is a great way to start because you have to tune your instrument and make sure it's on tune. Mm-hmm. Holding notes together is really important. If you want to train your ears, you play 2 of the same note, maybe on different instruments. Maybe you have 2 guitars or a ukulele and a guitar, and you play the same note, and you play them over and over next to each other, and you figure out how close are they. If you hear them and they're really close, what happens is you hear this wave. The wave is a dynamic wave. It gets louder and quieter, right? And it's as the notes, as the waves are combining. The closer they are, the less frequent the waves happen. The farther they are apart, the more frequent the waves happen. So if they're super close, you'll hear this wow, 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 wow when you play one note. You play, and if it's farther apart, it'll be like wow, 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 wow. If you get really far apart, it's like mm-hmm. And if you can train your ears to hear that at all times, you can train your voice to pick up on that whenever you're singing so that you're better and better on the note, right? So that's one thing to train your ears. One thing is to train your ears. And you can do that without playing 2 instruments at once. In fact, one highly recommended thing is to do this one exercise. I'm going to give you this one exercise. If you do this one exercise, I can't guarantee that you're going to be the best singer in the world. But this one exercise is an exercise that will help you tremendously with singing. It's this. Go to a piano or a guitar or anything that you can pick a note and you play it, right? Play the note and you sing that note with the instrument, all right? Easy enough, right? So let's imagine I'm at a piano. I hit C, dun, and then I sing with it, and I hold it, and I pay attention to that wave, right? Until I get it as close as I can be, right? And just keep on holding it and singing that note for several seconds, right? 3, maybe 4 seconds. And then hit a different note, a random note, higher, lower, doesn't matter. Within your range, hit a random one. And don't speak. Don't glide to the note. Don't go, ah. Try to make it so your throat goes immediately to it and go, you hit the note, dun, and you go, ah. And then, bah. You try to match. So hold the notes for seconds at a time. You pick one note, make it kind of random, and you try to get your pitch to match that note spot on. What that's going to do is it's going to train your brain to program your throat to have muscle memory on those notes. So when you hear a note, your throat instinctively knows, oh, I know exactly what that note feels like in my throat, and I can go to it right away without even having to go, there it is, you know, you don't have to. What happens in our brains is that happens so fast. The more you sing, the faster it gets, to the point of you don't even notice it happens. Your brain goes, you know, and you started down here, and you went, so fast that you probably didn't even notice you did it, right? Your brain gets really fast at correcting your pitch and hearing it, and it's really important. So, training your throat is muscles, positioning, and all sorts of things like that. And so, if you want to be a better singer, pitch isn't everything. Vocal effects are a lot, but you'll get there once you get the pitch. Pitch is the first thing you need to definitely get down. And then once you have that down, you can start moving towards vocal effects that you can add in, and that's a lot of fun. But just doing the exercise for 10, 15 minutes, or heck, even 5 minutes a day is great. You know what? I wouldn't even do that exercise for 15 minutes. What I would do is I would do that exercise for 5 minutes. And that's it. And then I would sing along with someone, play a song and sing along with it, keeping always your ears in the front of the picture. Always pay attention to where your voice is compared to theirs when you're singing. Never stop listening to your voice and criticizing it. Not how your voice sounds, but the pitch, especially. And later on, your vocal technique. And your tone is important too. Tone is, where are you singing from? Your chest? You're up here? Are you singing nasally? Stuff like that. That's important too, but you'll get there eventually. But right off the bat, most important thing when you're starting off in daily exercises you can do, that's my best one, is just playing a random note and singing it for several seconds long before playing the next random note, and seeing how fast and how good you can get at immediately hitting that pitch. And you'll notice as you do it every day, you'll get better and better as months or weeks even go by, to the point where you hear something and you go, oh, I can feel it in my throat. My throat is actually moving. I'm not even singing, but I can feel that pitch change in my head without me even singing it. I know what pitch this throat position is going to be as soon as it comes out of my mouth, and I can hear it ringing in my head without even singing. And that is huge. So, anyways, with that, I'm gonna give it over to Joe and see what he's got to say.
Yeah, I think that is the great, man. Pitch is so important. I mean, like you said, it's not everything, and there are some great singers who didn't always do stuff exactly right on pitch. But I'll tell you, if you're not, if you're enough off, it's cringy, right? Maybe is the right word. So yeah, nailing your pitches is incredibly important. And I like what you have in here, Meow. You're talking about confidence, volume, and breath. Those are big things. Notably, need to work on confidence, volume, and breath. Okay. So, you like cringy stuff. You have an issue with singing too quietly. All right. So, too shy. So, confidence. How do you build confidence? It's a good question. We talked about building confidence in general in Baca's topic. Building confidence in singing comes from doing it, and continually doing it. And like I love what Ryan was talking about with exercises, because those are going to be really great in training you to sing correctly. To sing confidently, sing. Put on music you like and sing with it. Always. I learned how to play drums by listening to drummers I liked, to bands that I liked, and playing along with it. I got a whole ton of them that I would listen to. And I sound a lot like some of them, in my drumming. Here's another thing. With singing, grab some of your favorite tunes that are within your range and sing to them. Sing along. Try and copy the vocalist.
Mm-hmm.
Listen in to what the vocalist is doing and see, can I do that? Can I do that the way he did that little flutter with, can I do that? Is there, try and figure that kind of stuff out and try, but the key is to have fun, because you gotta do it enough to get strong, and you're not going to do it enough if it isn't fun. Right? And if you do it enough and it isn't fun, you're going to end up not liking it, and then you're going to be like one of those people who's really good at something but hates it.
Mm.
You know what I'm talking about? You ever met those people?
Mm-hmm.
It happens a lot in dance.
Or piano.
Mm-hmm. Where these people are so good, but it's because they were forced to, right? Or they forced themselves to. More times than not, is they were forced to by their parents or by some authority figure in their life, whatever. They've forced them into it. And so now they're really good at it and they hate it. And what's the point then? What's the point? So mechanically, there are things you can work on. And I don't mean like getting tools and working on yourself, but I'm talking about exercise. There are a couple areas for singing that'll be really, really good for you to work. One is your core. Do core exercises. Because when you're singing, a lot of times I will catch myself and I'm singing from my chest area, right? I'm pushing here. And I need to refocus my energy down at my gut level where my diaphragm is, because that's the muscle that's pushing. And you will find a lot more stamina and a lot more control and a lot more everything if you focus on tightening your core, pushing the air with your core muscles. So sing from your gut, right? And it's a big mistake, man. Anytime I start to get really high-pitched stuff, I start to get throaty. I start to kind of pinch and squeeze and try and really squeeze those notes out. And if I would really just focus on my gut and belt it, I'd hit the notes a lot easier. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's something to be conscious of. So if you can do core strength exercises, crunches, leg lifts, different planks, different things that strengthen your core muscles, that's going to be really helpful for power and breath. Another thing that's going to be helpful with breath is doing cardio exercises. And I'm not talking about going and jogging for a mile. What I'm talking about is sprinting for not very far, but long enough to make yourself out of breath and then rest. So if you go sprint for 20 seconds and then rest for a minute, walk for a minute and then sprint for 20 seconds and then rest, walk for a minute. Do things that get you out of breath. Because what happens then is you're learning how to really push the limits. Now, disclaimer. Anybody should always talk to a doctor before starting any type of exercise routine ever. You probably shouldn't do it ever. Okay? There's my disclaimer.
Never exercise. Ever. Unless your doctor tells you to.
Unless you're, because if you have asthma or something, I mean, that's going to be a problem, or if there might be something going on. If you're having trouble, or if you feel like you're if you're lightheaded or going to pass out, stop. you know, it's okay. But working those parts of your body, strengthening those parts of your body is going to help you in so many ways, because what happens is you will learn to trust yourself physically. And when you can trust yourself physically to do the job, your confidence level naturally goes up. Most of the time we're shy, we're not confident because we don't trust ourselves enough to be able to do it. But if we've put in hours of practice because we've sung and sung and sung, to stuff we like in the car, wherever, whatever, we've had fun with it and we've just sung a ton, then we're prepared. If we're in shape, our lungs are in shape, our core is in shape, then you can rely on yourself to do the job. And so that trifecta is going to help with your confidence, your power, all that, the volume, your breath control. When you go and get yourself out of breath, it kind of expands your capacity a little bit, and it trains you to deal with being out of breath. So then even when you're getting tired, and even when you've held a note for a long time, you find you have a little bit more to give because you've trained. It's the same in anything. When we did Krav Maga, it was a self-defense martial art, we would train for crazy stuff. They would get us exhausted and then have somebody attack us. Because you never know. You might be exhausted from fighting one person, and then somebody else attacks you, right? Or they would make us spin around in a circle 10 times. Look at the ground, spin around in a circle, and then as soon as you got done with that, they'd have somebody punching you in the face. And you'd have to swat their hand and block, block, block. And you're dizzy. You're just like, ugh, and you're swatting their hands away. But the principle holds true. You put yourself in distress a little bit, in a compromised situation, and you learn how to handle yourself in it. And then you can trust yourself even more. So all these little things are going to help you trust your ability. But yes, so that was a little bit more on the physical side of how to build yourself to do this. Ryan talked about, training your ears, which is, man, that is so critical. I can't even tell you, ears, being able to hear what you're doing and hear how you are in relation to what's going on is so important. Mm-hmm. But Ryan, did you have anything more? I know you've got more.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. No, I think everything you said was super important. Exercise is important. I should exercise more myself, so I shouldn't really talk too much about it. But there's a couple of things I remember in band we would do. See, in band, I played in a woodwind instrument. I had to breathe. I had to blow air through a instrument, right? And so there's a couple different exercises to help us with controlled breathing. And that's important for singing as well. One fun one is see how long you can blow bubbles through a cup of water.
Oh yeah.
Just just for a really long time. But the point of the exercise is something really interesting. You put more oxygen in your body than you use. And your body isn't trained to really fully get all of it out of it, But if you go through exercise where you are out of breath, right? Your body gets better at taking in the oxygen. And it's kind of weird. But you can hold your breath, right? Basic. Holding your breath is important. But it's important when you hold your breath. For example, if you want to hold your breath for a really long time, a great way to do it is not just taking all the air that you can possibly take in and then sit there with it in your stomach. That's, or your lungs rather. That will not let you hold your breath for very long. Actually, you'll find you'll get more out of taking in less.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be able to. The main reason is because as the oxygen enters your lungs, what's it creating? It's creating CO2. CO2 molecules are bigger. And as you're getting the CO2, your lungs are expanding and expanding beyond their normal capacity. And it hurts. And your body just wants to go, and it wants to, and it's pushing away all the CO2. The CO2 actually, when it touches your organs, it causes your brain to have pain sensors going to it, right? Your body says, oh, we've got something in our lungs that's not supposed to be here, and it's filled with them. And so you feel all this pain, and your body wants to expel all of the air.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to hold your breath for a really long time, you take a big deep breath from your stomach, not from your chest, from your stomach, and you slowly exhale the whole time, little bit by little bit. And that's what the glass is doing for you when you blow into a straw into a water glass and see how long you can blow it for. It's training your lungs to use oxygen more efficiently. So it's a lot of fun. But you know, another one is to exhale all of your everything. Now, don't do this one without maybe supervision or a doctor. Exhale everything from your lungs and see how long you can hold your breath for without anything. And that's one that, again, it trains, like Joe was talking about. It gets you into that field of like, oh no, I'm under pressure. What do I do when I have nothing left in my lungs? How do I handle this? And it helps you to just handle that scenario better, and use what little was left, and make the most of it. And you know, it's interesting. You can expand your lungs in different exercises, but cardio is a big one. And I really like that Joe specified sprinting, getting out of breath, not just jogging.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's important, because really what you're trying to do is you're trying to expand your lung capacity and make your use of oxygen better. You're not just trying to do, obviously cardio is good for the heart and the air and all of that kind of stuff, right? It's really good for you. But as a singer, you want that out of breath state,
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, so I agree with 100% with what Joe was saying, and I need to do more of that myself. Volume's just really, again, it's air control. It's air control. It's how is the air that you're putting forth, you don't want to put too much out of you. It's not the amount of air that you're throwing forward. It's how you're using it in your lungs, how steady it is, and how, like, we used to do this thing in band, and it's all about being able to play a note as loud and as long as possible. And you find out it's not about putting all your air through it at once to be loud. It's kind of like refined, concentrated air in a specific manner where you're putting through just a tiny bit of air, but through such a little hole in your throat that it comes out really loud. If you ever take a hose, right, and you hold your thumb on it, you know, on the end of the hose where the water's trying to come out, right? You hold your thumb over the hose, it goes and starts spraying really concentrated water out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it goes a lot farther than if you let go of your thumb off of the hole and it just goes. You put your thumb over it and it goes, right? And you're trying to do that with your airflow through your lungs and through your throat, so that your air is, you don't want to tighten your throat so it's all like really small and stuff. That's not exactly how it happens, but you're trying to make sure your air is consistent. You're not using a lot of breath to do it, but it's very refined in the way that you're doing it. It's loud, but not airy. You're using the air that's going through your lungs to their maximum capacity, so that all of the air going through your lungs is reserved only for sound, and you don't have any extra leaking out while you're speaking or you're singing, right? And it takes a lot of work. And honestly, it's just practicing. I mean, that's probably the best thing you can do is practice it. But as for courage, I mean, here's the thing. It's so true that you need confidence. It is 100% true. If you sing without confidence, you're going to make a fool of yourself. And then you'll be like, well, no one, the thing you were afraid of, the reason you weren't singing with confidence now happens because you weren't singing with confidence. All right.
Mm-hmm.
You're afraid of singing because you're worried about what people think of you.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you sing quietly. And when you sing quietly, your whole body's not into it. If your whole body's not into it, you don't have everything you need to make it the best performance you can get. So you need to put your energy into it. You need to put your body into it. Singing is a bodily thing. And you need to make sure all of it's in good condition, and you need to use it when you sing. And so when you get shy and you sing quietly, you're not using your full air flow. You're holding back. You're afraid. Your mind is worried about the next note, and it's just not going to happen. So I remember when I learned that, I was like, oh, I just need to sing with confidence. Okay, from now on, I'm going to sing as if I have confidence, even if I don't. I'm just going to own it. I'm just going to do my best to be like, I'm going to be loud and proud.
Yeah.
However this comes out. Because if I'm loud and proud, however it comes out is going to be a whole lot better than if I was quiet. So at least it's better. Maybe it still isn't perfect. Maybe I was loud and it sounded bad. But my loud and sounded bad, still better than my quiet and sounding bad. So let's be loud and proud with our singing and just do that. And once you do that for a few times, you'll notice it doesn't take that much effort to do it the next time, until it's like, oh, I always have confidence in my singing. And a lot of it is when you make mistakes. Because when you're loud and proud and you make mistakes and everyone hears it, there's no turning back.
That's right.
But once you do that enough, and people are like, yeah, but you're still good, and you can recognize, okay, I get 90% of my notes. Sweet, right? Once you realize, like, it's not that big of a deal to make a mistake, being confident is not really an issue anymore, right? Because that's the thing you're afraid of. The reason you're not confident is because you're afraid of making a mistake. But if you can just go like, what am I afraid of? Of course I'm going to make a mistake. Who cares? I make a mistake. Life goes on. It was a one note thing. That note lasted for 3/4 of a second. Who cares? Life goes on. Making mistakes is not a big deal. And as soon as you can realize that, and you usually only realize that through making enough mistakes that you go, yeah, I make mistakes all the time. Doesn't bother me anymore. As soon as you realize that, you get over it and just like, yeah, and you own it. You own up to your mistake. You're like, yeah, I did that. That was me. Who cares? Like, sweet. Did you guys hear that? Did you guys hear that note?
Did you hear
I totally
that bad
missed.
note?
Yeah, totally. You own it, and people go, yeah, it was terrible, man. And you go, yeah, it was. Because
I don't know how I did that.
And that's fine. Yeah. Did you hear my voice crack? Oh my gosh. And you just let it be. Because if you just own, if you voice cracks and you go shy away from it and you don't bring it up, you're just going to be self-conscious about it and be like, oh, everybody heard that wrong note, right? Yeah, they couldn't have possibly missed that. There's no way. And your mind is going 40 miles an hour in the loops about this stupid wrong note. Instead, you just go, did you guys hear that wrong note? Some people will be like, there was a wrong note. And you're like, oh, you didn't hear it. I heard it. It was awful. And some people will be like, yeah, that was bad. Don't quit your day job. And you'll be like, well, I might. I don't care about what you got to say.
My day job stinks.
Yeah, my day job's worse than my singing, so maybe I should. If you think my singing bad, wait till you see me do my day job.
Yeah, wait till you see my day job.
Oh man. Because if you own it, then it's over with. You don't have to worry and wonder like, oh, did they hear that? Who cares? Just keep on going. I mean, what else are you gonna do? Sit there and worry about it for a month? That's not gonna help you. So, yeah. That's my best on confidence. It's just doing it, owning up to it, make mistakes. Your mistakes will make you confident. Because here's the thing. If you make mistakes and you keep on going, then you've proven to yourself that you can make mistakes and you can keep on going. So what's a mistake? It doesn't stop you. It doesn't stop you. So just make mistakes. It doesn't matter. Pause and reset and record. You know, I've recorded almost all my songs, many takes for each of those lines, you know, not for every line, but for like a phrase, right? A lot of times I'll record a phrase and I'll be like, I'll record another phrase and go, record another phrase and be like, maybe, you know, I'll record like 5 times and then I'll listen to them. I'll play them back to my ear and then I'll be like, okay, I like this one the best and I'll pick that one, right? Now, on a live performance, you don't have the option, but that's all right. You've practiced. It's okay to make a mistake. It's more real that way. People like that. People like it when you're you. People like you to be real. And so people don't mind if you make a mistake on the, as long as you don't sound absolutely terrible, you know, people won't care. They'll be like, oh, wow, they missed that note. But at least we know it's live and it's not pre-recorded and being played to us over stereo with them lip syncing, you know, which happens. And people frown on it for good reason, you know? So I think it's, yeah. Anyways, I rambled.
It was good ramble.
All right, good.
Good
Well, I
ramble.
will say there was one kid in school in like 5th grade who his talent was that he could lip sync. So I wouldn't totally frown upon lip syncing.
Yes,
I get it in the context it is, but
in the
at
context
the same
of
time, if that's like your
yes.
talent thing, if you can make your words look like they're saying someone else's thing without actually saying them,
yes,
good on you. That could be
that's
a talent.
That is a talent.
You know, it's funny because Milli Vanilli got in trouble for that back in the late 80s, early 90s, right?
Yeah.
They're the first ones who kind of, yeah, now everybody does it.
Yeah.
Like, man, Milli Vanilli, they were awesome. They invented the Milli Vanilli high five. Which was there, they would like chest bump each other, like.
Oh,
they like
chest bumping came from them.
Yep, that was the Milli Vanilli high five, and you know, they got then man, it all came out that they were lip syncing because how do you chest bump and be singing?
Yes,
right. You know, like
yeah.
how do you be doing all these dance moves and stuff? And it came out that they were lip syncing, but you know. Now people do it all the time. And I remember, I think it was Ashley Simpson got caught on Saturday Night Live. Like, they played the wrong song, her vocal.
Yeah, and her mic was turned off.
And that started, she didn't have the mic even close to her, and she started singing through the speakers. And then she just kind of like did a little dance thing and then left, right? And just went off the stage, and her band kept playing the song, right? Instrumental version. And it was like, oh no, you know, she got in trouble for that, but people do it all the time.
Yep.
It's crazy. So I'll tell you what, one last thing on confidence, find some emotion when you're singing. Whether it's anger, passion, you know, disgust, yeah, a powerful emotion. Love, a lot of things. There can be a lot of things. Heartache,
craziness.
Yep.
Okay, maybe not that one.
You make me crazy. There's plenty of songs like that.
Yes, but I find for me, anger works really well, and it's not the same for everybody. But what anger does is it makes me confident. Like, get out of my way, right? Like, and it happens when I'm doing inspections too. If I can get a good mad going, you know, then I'll be in and out. I'll be done with that property. And if someone comes out, they'll be like, hey, what are you doing? I'll be like, I'm taking pictures for your mortgage company. What do you want? Like, I might leave off the "what do you want" part, but like,
yeah, maybe.
But that confidence comes out, right? Through that, you get this little bit of edge to you, and this, like, I can hear Ryan just like going, Joe, stop! This is totally not right, like, because you're like phlegmatic and like such a peaceful, wonderful, nice guy, right? And that's great. I don't know. For me, confidence, it kind of goes hand in hand with a little bit of edge, a little bit of anger, a little bit of just get out of my way, you know. And then what happens is I can then channel that feeling through singing. I can channel it through drumming. I can channel it through exercise. I can channel it through the tasks I need to do that day. I can channel it through whatever. And I get through anything more confidently with that. And I don't have to be a jerk. You know, can be. But yeah, anyway, if you can find an emotion in there, and it might depend on the song. If you got a song that's really, really a love song, to feel that love in your heart while you sing it, even if you don't get the pitches right, it's going to get the message across. Because you're going to speak volumes from the emotion you feel. If you're singing a song that's angry, you better darn well be angry when you sing it. Can you imagine Rage Against the Machine? If he would have come out there, like, not angry?
Is that the one? Down the white horses.
Yeah, that's...
Down the white horses. Down the white horses.
Yeah.
No, the white horses.
That's one of them.
Okay. All right. I think I got the lyrics right too.
It's pretty close.
Yeah.
The white horses. La 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 la. White horses.
Yeah, it could be like, oh, the white horses.
But I don't know. It's just crazy. So anyway, that's a way. Hopefully, some of what we talked about can be helpful for you in your journey. I like what Ryan started with. Pitch control. That is so key. If you find yourself struggling there, work on it. If you find yourself not struggling there, work on it. Because, man, you can always be better, right, Ryan?
Yep, certainly can be.
Uh-huh. So, anyway, thank you so much for that topic. We are a little bit over time now.
Yep.
So.
But thank you, Meow.
Yes, thank you, Meow. That was a great topic. We could talk about music stuff like a lot.
Yeah.
Being musicians and stuff. It's kind of how that works. But anyway, thank you guys so much for being here. Again, if you have a topic, you can submit it. I'd say submit it in the chat, but we're going to be gone. So you can send us an email, dww@bss.studio. You can put it on our website, bss.studio. Get with us on Discord. You can DM us anytime. You know, if you have a topic, whatever. You know, if you just want to talk, you know, shoot us a message. We'll get your message. But anyway, thank you guys so much for being here. Ryan, thanks for being awesome. Princess, thanks for being here and being awesome. And
thank you for having me.
Yes, and chat, you guys are where it's at. The chat's where it's at. We couldn't do this show without you guys. You guys are amazing. And yeah, we'll see you next Wednesday. Until then,
that's right.
Keep being awesome. Love you guys.
Bye-bye. Love y'all.